So this bhajan is called Nivedan by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You've got it there as well. O Gopinath, Lord of the Gopis, please hear my submission. I am a wicked materialist, always addicted to worldly desires, and no good qualities do I possess. O Gopinath, you are my only hope, and therefore I have taken shelter at your lotus feet. I am now your eternal servant. O Gopinath, how will you purify me? I do not know what devotion is, and my materialistic mind is absorbed in fruitive work. I have fallen into this dark and perilous worldly existence. O Gopinath, everything here is your illusory energy. I have no strength or transcendental knowledge, and this body of mine is not independent and free from the control of material nature. O Gopinath, this sinner who is weeping and weeping begs for an eternal place at your divine feet. Please give him your mercy. O Gopinath, you are able to do anything, and therefore you have the power to deliver all sinners. Who is there that is more of a sinner than myself? O Gopinath, you are the ocean of mercy. Having come into this phenomenal world, you expand your divine pastimes for the sake of the fallen souls. O Gopinath, I am so sinful that although all the demons attained your lotus feet, Bhaktivinoda has remained in worldly existence. O Gopinath, please remove the torment of worldly existence. I can no longer tolerate the pain of ignorance and a repeated succession of births and deaths. O Gopinath, indeed I am a servant of lust. Worldly desires are awakening in my heart, and thus the noose of fruitive work is beginning to tighten. O Gopinath, when will I wake up and abandon afar this enemy of lust? And when will you manifest yourself in my heart? O Gopinath, I am your devotee, but having abandoned you and thus having forgotten my real treasure, I have worshipped this mundane world. O Gopinath, you know everything. Now having punished your servant, please give him a place at your lotus feet. O Gopinath, is this your judgment, that seeing me averse to you, you abandon your servant and don't bestow even a particle of mercy upon him? O Gopinath, I am certainly very foolish, and I have never known what is good for me. Therefore such is my condition. O Gopinath, you are indeed the wisest person. Please look for a way to bring about auspiciousness for this fool, and please do not consider this servant as an outsider. O Gopinath, I have no means of success, but if you take me, having bestowed your mercy upon me, then I will obtain deliverance from this world. O Gopinath, I have fallen into the perils of material illusion. Wealth, wife, and sons have surrounded me, and lust has wasted me away. O Gopinath, my mind is crazy and doesn't care for any authority. It is always senseless and has remained in the dark pit of worldly affairs. O Gopinath, I have accepted my defeat. All of my various endeavours were useless. Now you are the only hope. O Gopinath, how shall I make any advancement when my mind has come under the control of the powerful senses and does not abandon its attachment to materialism? O Gopinath, after sitting down in the core of my heart and subduing my mind, please take me to you. In this way the horrible dangers of this world will disappear. O Gopinath, you are Rishikesh, the Lord of the senses. Seeing me so helpless, please control these senses of mine and deliver me from this dark and perilous worldly existence. O Gopinath, the noose of materialism has become fixed around my neck. Taking up the sword of your mercy and cutting this bondage, make this Bhaktivinoda your humble servant. So that was Thakur. Yeah. About Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the seventh Goswami, have you seen it?
Oh no, not in the physical paper.
Physical manifestation?
Yes. I remember.
Not in the temple. No, really, they have it in Green Street. It's great, you know, biography of his life, yeah? You sure? It's not in the covers. You know what it looks like, right?
We last time you wanted to read for
Oh,
so
yeah.
you had to find it online.
Oh, that's right, yeah. That's too complicated, though, isn't it? Yeah, never
My
mind.
tablet is.
What?
Oh, 1 second.
Is it easy to find? I can just read through that.
Seventh Goswami.
No, I just feel like it's reading. Look at that.
Which chapter do you want to read?
Okay, how many chapters are there?
26.
Okay, go to chapter 15.
Initiation of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji.
Yeah, let's read that. Well, you've got the whole thing there. New things. I can read from that Sharagrahi Vaishnava.
Chapter 15.
Okay, let's do this. Let's go there when it says yeah, 8. Get straight.
The preaching days begin.
Yes.
Pleasure of Lord Sri Chaitanya.
Preparing to special preaching. His preaching reaches the Western world. Is it the name of the chapters, right?
I think so.
Preaching of the whole name.
Yeah, okay, that's right. I'll do it.
Yeah,
So
so
just
you
find
can
it,
just, you can just press the arrow down and it would go
Yeah.
down.
It's very light, isn't it, this computer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it a modern one?
Yeah, relatively, yeah.
How often do you upgrade it?
Huh?
How often do you upgrade it?
I just as soon as it breaks.
You just keep it the same.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as I have the sufficient transport, but this one is about 5 or 600.
Is it?
Yeah. The arrow down to take the text down. You need to make the text a little bit bigger so it's easier to read.
What? No, I can read it. It's very good.
So if you plus,
Okay, that's okay.
and then if you go down, yeah.
Yeah. This is extracted from the life of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Is that the right position?
Yeah.
Okay. It's very sensitive, yes. Preaching the holy name. In August of 1891, the Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, received approval for a 2-year furlough, I don't know what that means, Furlough. I think it means a break, like from work. Yeah. He wanted to preach the glories of the holy name for the benefit of humanity. His base for this preaching effort was Godrum Dweep, which the Thakur dubbed the Nam Hatta, quote, the marketplace of the holy name. He travelled with Sri Ram Sevak Chattopadhyay Bhakti Bringer, his old friend, as well as Sri Sitanath Das Mahapatra and Sri Sital Britya. They chanted in many places, gave lectures and made devotees. The Thakur describes this period with happiness. Quote, "At this time in the month of Avin, Ramsevak Babu, Sitanath and Sital Britya all took a ship to Ramjivanpur for chanting and lectures. In many places in Ramjivanpur we chanted and spoke, and we were very happy. From there we went to Kayapat Padanganja, where we lectured. In that place all of the devotees, brahmanas and pandits were pleased. Having stayed 13 days in that area and concluding with a lecture program in Ghatal, we returned. We performed Nama Sankirtan everywhere. After coming to my house in Kolkata, I proceeded to Surabi Kunj, and we performed a great deal of Sankirtan there too." Unquote. In his lifetime, the Thakur established over 500 Namhata Sanghas, and in his original Namhata essay entitled Sri Sri Godrum Kalpatavi, he describes the structure of the Namhata. The spirit of his endeavour exactly matched the mood of Lord Nityananda, who was personally ordered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to preach in Bengal. Lord Chaitanya directed him thus, from Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Leela 13, verses 8 to 9, "Shuno Shuno Nityanand, Shuno Haridas, Sarvatra Amar Agya Koroho Prakash, Prati Ghare Ghare Gya Koro E Bhikka, Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Koro Krishna Shiksha." Oh, hear me, Nityananda, hear me, Haridas. Simply disseminate my order everywhere. Go from house to house and beg the residents as follows: speak about Krishna, worship Krishna, and teach others about Krishna. In his Namhata essay, the Thakur always describes himself as the sweeper of the marketplace of the holy name. In that marketplace in Godrum Dweep, the storehouse is the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the principal trader is Sri Nityananda Prabhu. The co-principal trader in Bengal is Sri Advaita Prabhu. In Vrindavan, Rup and Sanatan Goswamis. In Jagannath Puri, Sri Svarup Damodar and Ramanand Roy. The storekeepers in Bengal are Sri Gadadhar Pandit, Srimati Vishnu Priya and Srimati Janava Thakurani. In Vrindavan, Raghunath Das Goswami. In Jagannath Puri, Sri Paramananda Puri. Following this explanation is a description of the transcendental currency of the market. The various levels of devotion are compared to paisa, the smallest denomination, to annas. 1 anna equals about 6 paisa, and to silver coins, and prem, pure love of God, to the most valuable denomination, the gold coin. The qualifications for membership are also specified, techniques for chanting are detailed, etc. The Thakur then proceeds to describe some of the preaching pastimes of his party of friends. Quote, "The 5th Ashvin Chaitanyabda 406, Monday," that's the date, the Namhata sweeper, assistant and flag bearer, that is Bhaktivinoda himself, Bhakti Bringa Mahashai and Sitanath, arrived in the town of Ghatal, Midnapur district, after dark. The devotees escorted the Namhata employees with Sankirtan to the Hari Shabha. More than 1,000 devotees of the Nam assembled and engaged in massive Sankirtan. The next day at sunrise, along with all the devotees of Ramjivanpur, they performed blissful kirtan and inspected the activities of the Namhata in the Prapana Ashram, the preaching centre of Sri Yukta Kunja Bihari Pena. More than 1,000 devotees assembled, loudly chanting the name of Hari. The Namhata commander for that area, Sri Yukta Umacharan Vidyaratna, warmly welcomed the sweeper Bhaktivinoda, his assistant Bhakti Bringa, the devotee Sitanath, and the assembled Namhata employees. The sweeper Bhaktivinoda gave a lecture on the glories of the holy name. The captivating lecture and Vaishnava songs, Bhaktivinoda speaking, I had personally composed, filled the assembled devotees with prem. travelling salesman Sri Yukta Ramdas Babaji and Sri Yukta Dharachandra Thakalankara satisfied the assembly with sweet lectures. The assembly dispersed 3 hours after darkness had fallen with loud chanting of Hari and pure Nama Sankirtan. In other words, the assembly of over 1,000 devotees were chanting and hearing all day and then into the night as well. And then his diary continues, 7th Ashvin at daybreak, the street Sankirtan went out with a great gathering of Ram Jivanpur villagers. The special decorations and mandaps, that's the raised platforms in front of the houses, were a wonderful sight to see. Thereafter the Sankirtan party went on the main road, and coming from their homes the devotees were chanting the name of Hari in great devotion. At one mandap the travelling salesman, Sri Yukta Ramdas Babaji and Sri Yukta Dharachandra Thakalankar and Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained the glories and the truth of the name, while from all 4 sides the village womenfolk raised their voices in ululation. That's making that noise, you know. In some places, the school children, breaking loose from their teacher's care and crying, Hari Bol, ran toward the Sankirtan party. The devotees were feeling mutual bliss. The minds of everyone present were captured by this enchanting scene. 8th Ashvin. In a massive gathering at Ram Jivanpur, all the Nam Hatha employees did Nam Kirtan from house to house. At the houses of Sri Yukta Umesh Chandra Modak, Sri Yukta Ananta Gayan, Sri Yukta Ramchand Datta, Sri Yukta Srinivas Rot, and Sri Yukta Ram Kalpa Rot, a great multitude of people received the message of Mahaprabhu. Finally, at the Natyashal theatre of Sri Parvatinath Mahadev, nearly 2,500 persons came together, where the commander glorified Mahaprabhu from the Vedas and the Puranas. At that time of pure devotional preaching, the sweeper Bhaktivinoda showed the uselessness of the impersonal philosophy. Later, at the Prapana Ashram of storekeeper Sri Yukta Jadunath Pal, the Rasik Mandali performed kirtan. 9th Ashvin. All the Nam Hatha workers gathered at Hatipur Devakand, where nearly 3,000 people assembled at the Natyashal of Jagajanani Bhadrakali. The travelling salesman of that place, Sri Yukta Keshav Chandra Chakravarti, had made many arrangements with gates and mandaps. The villagers took the Nam Hatha workers with great enthusiasm from the bank of the river to a pandal. Along the way, village women filled with ecstasy were ululating. Those present will not forget the enchanting scene. At that time, everyone lost material consciousness, submerged in the ocean of Krishna Prem. After all the devotees were properly seated on the mandap, the following song was sung. The translation is, Nityananda has come to the marketplace of the name. Whoever is coming, run quickly. Those 2 rascals, Jagai and Madai, have looted the storehouse and taken all the goods. You will find the partners, Advaita and Sanatan are the storehouse managers. Gadadhar Pandit is the guard. Haridas is the watchman. Sanjay and Sridhar are the bearers. Keshav Bharati and Vidya Vachaspati are brokers, and Krishnadas and others are managers. Srivas Pandit is the treasurer, and Kedarnath is the sweeper. Sorry. The cost of the goods in the store are the 9 kinds of devotional service. The gold coin is prema. There's no limit. With whatever you have got, buy what you can. There's no shortage. Brothers, take as much of the goods as you can. For obtaining love of God, this is the best advice. The message is the nectarian name of the Lord, so let there be no useless strife. Let everyone, whoever he may be, share the same plate. 12th Ashvin. Nam Hatha workers assembled at Bhakti Nidhi's Vadan Ganj Prapanashram in the morning. Later at Koyat Bazaar, nearly 4,000 people came to see the Namhata workers. The first few minutes were spent in getting the people to be quiet. Bhaktinidhi's lecture was followed by a lecture by Bhaktivinoda on the verse Vedanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam from Srimad Bhagavatam. So we talked about that at lunchtime. So it seems that as they go around from village to village with the Namhata, the number is increasing from 1,000 now is 4,000, and quite bizarre. With this verse, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his diary, he's referring to himself in the third person, and humility, not saying I, saying he. So with this verse, he destroyed the impersonalist philosophy and established the truth of pure devotion to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. During all these lectures, the listeners' hearts were filled with devotional ecstasy, exhibited by frequent applause and crying of Hari with love-filled enthusiasm. In these wonderful excerpts, we catch a glimpse of the jubilant preaching exploits of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. His activities immediately invoke the original preaching mood of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, on account of which huge crowds wildly chanted the holy name in ecstasy. These crowds were getting the same opportunity by the pure association and presentation of the eternally liberated associate of the Lord, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We may also recall how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur brought the holy name to thousands, following in the saintly footsteps of his father. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada in his turn held huge gatherings in Delhi, Kolkata and Bombay, and Rath Yatra celebrations attended by thousands in the West, simply to continue the disciplic succession of ecstatic distribution of the holy name, following in the footsteps of his most exalted predecessors. In February of 1892, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was invited to speak at Krishna Nagar before a large congregation of highly learned men from various parts of Bengal. He gave a lecture concerning his investigation and research into the genuine site of Lord Chaitanya's birth. After hearing his powerful presentation, the members of the assembly, who were overwhelmingly impressed by the Thakur's words, pledged their help by agreeing to join a society organized by the Thakur for the restoration, maintenance and development of old Navadip at Sri Mayapur, called Sri Navadip Dham Pracharani Sabha, because there was at that time there had been a lot of controversy about the actual birthplace site of Lord Chaitanya, because some said on this one side of the Ganges, on the Navadvip town, what is now the Navadvip town side, and others said on the what is now the Mayapur side. But the fact is that the course of the Ganges has moved, has shifted in the 500 years since Lord Chaitanya was on earth. So, due to various ways, it's probably told elsewhere in this book, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he looked at the different maps of the British government, because he had access to those things, and look with that information, also with asking the people locally, and also through prayer and meditation. Remember, he had that vision of the golden temple at Mayapur when he was chanting on the roof of his house in Godramdweep, of course, which is on the other side of the Ganga. So then he had the intuition then, or the direct vision, that was where the Yogapith was. And also we heard about his Shiksha Guru, Jagannath Das Babaji, when he went to that place, Antadweep, what is now Mayapur, Antadweep, where the Yogapith is, then he went into ecstasy of Krishna consciousness, and was they say he jumped down, he was crippled, and he used to be carried around but that he jumped and began dancing at that place. Also there was a mound of tulsi, a big small hill of many tulsi plants in that place. So all these indications, his conclusion was that that was the actual birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. That is, we follow that today. They go there on the parikram and so forth. The neem tree, you know, outside the house and so forth. And so he set up this society was established for the development of the place. So the Thakur made the ruling princes of Tipara the society's hereditary presidents. Europeans were also present at the meeting, and the Thakur recalls the names Monroe, Wallace and Butler. Then he also lectured to other societies and assemblies in the Krishnanagar area. In March of 1892, Bhaktivinoda Thakur would have been, he was born in 1838, so he would have been 54 years of age at this time. In March of 1892, accompanied by his Vaishnava friends, the Thakur made a lecture tour of the Basirhat subdivision located in the northeastern part of West Bengal's Chabisha Pargan district. He was preaching, chanting and writing constantly during this period. His influence was tremendous. He opened a good number of branches of Namahatta, and everywhere people began to take up the chanting of the holy name. This program was so successful and popular that even after the Thakur ceased his participation due to the call of government duties, it continued for many years. After the Basir Hat tour, the Thakur took his friend Bhakti Bringa Mahashai with him for a tour of Vrindavan. On the way, they spent the fast day Ekadashi with Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. The Thakur reached Vrindavan in great ecstasy and undertook a full tour of the Dham, visiting Bilvavan, Mandiravan, Manasa Sarovar, Gokul, Madhuvan, Talavan, Bahulavan, Govardhan, Radha Kund, Shama Kund. In short, all the places of Krishna's transcendental pastimes. Upon returning to his Bhakti Bhavan in Calcutta, he continued his preaching activities, giving lectures and readings about the glories of the holy name. Sometimes he was in Godrum, sometimes in Calcutta, and sometimes in Krishnanagar. During the time of his 2-year preaching furlough, when he got time off from work, so he used that for establishing these Namahattas all over. So during this time, he also produced another literary outpouring. In 1892, he published short excerpts in pamphlet form of an earlier published work called Vaishnav Siddhanta Mala. The pamphlets were based mainly on the portion of the book which deals with the glories of the holy name, and they were given titles like Sri Harinam, Sri Nam, Sri Nam Mahima, Sri Nam Prachar, and Sri Nam Tattva. These were distributed to the people as part of the Thakur's Namhatta program and were very well received. Also in 1892, the Thakur published a book called Sriman Mahaprabhur Shiksha, a book of 11 chapters summarizing Lord Chaitanya's philosophy in 10 major categories. The first chapter presented the 10 categories, and the succeeding 10 discussed each category individually. There are profuse Sanskrit quotations to substantiate each point, as well as Bengali prose translations and explanations. But in 1893, the real deluge of writing occurred. He wrote Tattva Vivek, or Satchit Anandana Bhuti, which was a presentation of the teachings of the greatest Vaishnavacharyas in relation to the ideas of famous Western and Oriental philosophers. The book comprised 48 Sanskrit verses with detailed Bengali commentary on each verse. Then came Sharanagati, Gita Mala, and Gitavali, 3 small songbooks which perfectly expressed in simple Bengali the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and the lofty realizations and sentiments of a self-realized soul. He wrote a Sanskrit poem about Lord Chaitanya called Sri Godrum Chandra Bhajan Upadesh, 2 more songbooks entitled Baul Sangeet and Dalaler Gita, and a booklet in English entitled Naam Bhajan, about the holy name of Krishna. He also wrote a monumental novel called Jaiva Dharma, which covered the entire spectrum of Gaudiya Vaishnava thought and answered almost every conceivable question that an inquisitive and intelligent soul could ever think to ask. He also wrote Tattva Sutram, a book of Sanskrit aphorisms with Sanskrit explanations and Bengali commentary. He thus produced 10 significant works, one of them of major proportions, all in 1 year. And meanwhile he was lecturing, chanting and preaching to whomever he met. We can begin to understand from all this holy activity what Gaur Shakti Svarup really means. He truly was the embodiment of the transcendental energy of Lord Chaitanya, for these are not the activities of anyone but an empowered associate of the Lord. Similarly, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada presented 17 volumes of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita with full commentary in English in 18 months, while spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world, personally describing such work as, quote, materially impossible, unquote. His immense outpouring can be compared favourably to Srila Satchidanand Bhaktivinoda Thakur's. One empowered soul can only be compared favourably with another. By objective examination, a reasonable person can understand that such activities are superhuman and miraculous. Only when one is purely instrumental in Krishna's hands can such perfect literature be composed in an unbroken flow of pure realization. To get some idea of the flavour of his writings during this period, we turn to the song Dalaler Gita, meaning the song of the broker, and the English essay Naam Bhajan, in which he glorifies the holy name, as was his constant practice in preaching to the masses. He was always either chanting the holy name or speaking on the chanting of the holy name, and we get some clear idea of the level of inspiration and spiritual enthusiasm he was experiencing during this period from the moving poetic excerpts which follow. From Dalaler Gita, or the Song of the Broker, verse 1, I am singing the news of the greatest happy tidings. At the place known as Surabi Kunj in Sri Navadip, a marketplace of the holy name has now been opened, and Lord Nityananda himself is the proprietor-in-chief. Such wonderful things are going on in that blissful marketplace. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is selling the pure, unadulterated holy name wholesale, merely for the price of one's faith. Seeing the assembly of devotees eagerly waiting to purchase the name, Lord Nityananda examines them all, one by one, to test the degree of their receptivity, and then he sells them the name individually by bargaining for his price accordingly. Oh brother, my dear friend, if you really want to purchase this pure holy name, then come, just come with me, for I am now going to meet with that very same Nityananda Mahajan. Thus you will finally be able to purchase the pure holy name. I will also take my due commission, and in this way all 3 of us will fulfill our desires. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is so incredibly merciful. Taking only one's faith in the holy name, he bestows the topmost divine bliss in exchange. The very second that Nitai sees a tear welling in someone's eye upon chanting the name of Gora, he instantly gives his support to that person. Indeed, he bestows all divine opulences upon him. He gives that person genuine realization of the pure teachings of Sri Krishna, as found in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. While giving all this inconceivable mercy, he never cares in the least for one's position in relation to caste, material wealth, mundane knowledge, or physical ability. Now, dear brothers, just reject the illusory network of Maya's entangling snares. If you are a householder, then just remain at your home. If you are renounced, then just live peacefully in the forest. Either way, you will experience no more misery. Now there is no more fear of the terrible age of quarrel. For the most merciful Lord Nityananda gives the holy name to anyone and everyone, even the lowest among men. Bhaktivinoda loudly calls out and advises all, except for the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, there is no other shelter. And then there's an excerpt on the same topic from Nam Bhajan, the small book Nam Bhajan, which he wrote in English. He says, quote, "If by discarding the company of asat or dishonest fellows, one embraces the company of the good or sat, he before long gains a firm reliance, and then through the stages of nishta, etc., reaches the ladder of bhava. Those whose hearts are crooked will beyond any doubt run downstairs to hell." It's about meaning in regard to chanting the holy name. "The fortunate ones who earnestly long to ascend the terrace of prema do sincerely and incessantly chant the name of Krishna in the company of sadhus. They do not have any appetite for any other feature of devotion. When in a short time, by the grace of Nama, the heart becomes closely attentive, the fruits of religious forbearance, control over sensual appetites, religious observances, withholding the breath by way of religious austerity, abstract religious contemplation, steady abstraction of the mind, and indifference to external impressions are very easily gained, without paying the least heed to all these. Nama alone is a complete suspension of the fleeting mental operations. The more the heart is pellucid, means soft, the more diverse pastimes of the spiritual kingdom play in it. The flow of the milk of this felicity is so very fast running that no other means can give even the smallest drop of it. Jivas have no other wished-for wealth than the grace of Krishna. Nama is spiritual, wisdom, vows, meditation, abnegation, mental quietness, virtue, contrivance. Nama is spiritual, and these other things are wisdom, vows, meditation, abnegation, mental quietness, virtue, contrivance. None of these can ever equal Nam. Know it for certain that Nam is the highest salvation. Nam is the highest end. Nam is the noblest final beatitude. Nam is eternally existing. Nam alone is the supermost devotion. Nam is the highest intellect. Nam is the best priti, affection. And Nam alone is the brightest remembrance. Nama is the seed and Nam is the fruit to jivas. Nam is their Lord, and Nam alone is the supremest object of their worship. Nam is their best preceptor. The Vedas have described the spirituality of the name of Krishna to be the highest truth. O Lord, reasonably we have judged thy name to be higher than the highest, and so do we chant thy Nam. Nama Bhajan is not bound by any rule. Nama is beyond all virtuous acts. He is spiritual. He is virility and luster in a person. All the Vedas have been manifested from this Nama. Nam is bliss. Nam is Anand. We can excellently be devoted to him. Nama is worship, and Nam is to be worshipped. Thy feet are to be held in veneration. Repeatedly we fall prostrate at those thy lotus feet and anoint the body with the pollen thereof. In order to lead the soul to its highest stage, devotees mutually discuss on Nam and sing his glories. They believe thy name to be Chaitanya in person, and always sing and hear kirtan, which is identical to thy Nam, and they are purified by it. Nam alone is Sat, or ever existing. The essence of the Vedas is Nam, the absolute truth, whose form is Sat Chit Anand, ever existing, all knowing, and all bliss. O Vishnu, it is only by the grace of thy name that we are capable of offering hymns to thee, so we should adore and pray to thy Nama alone. End of this quote. In 1893, in the midst of his expansive preaching activity, the Thakur also had the good fortune of getting the association of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, who, accompanied by many Vaishnavas, came to Sri Mayapur on pilgrimage and visited the Thakur at Godrum. And then this next section is about when Bhaktivinoda Thakur completely retires from his governmental service and expands his preaching. In mid-1893, the Thakur was requested to resume his duties by Sir Henry Cotton, Chief Secretary to the Government of Bengal. Srila Bhaktivinoda wanted to resume his service in Krishnanagar, but he was asked to go to Sasaram, where there were riots between Hindus and Muslims. He recalls, quote, "There was a serious dispute between the Hindus and Muslims over cow slaughter. There had been very good relations between the Hindus and Muslims for many a year, but because of cow slaughter, their good relations had ended. The feelings of hostility were mutual, and there was constant fighting between them. In the town of Sasaram, there were many alleys and lanes, and Muslims and Hindus lived cheek by jowl. Because of this, there was plenty of opportunity for disputes. Fighting would develop daily. A certain Vaishnav sannyasi bought a small piece of land facing my court office, and he endeavoured to build a temple there. The Muslims insisted that the temple could not be built. The sannyasi spoke to me about the matter, and I spoke to the Muslim Serestadara so as to know the thoughts of the local Muslims on this matter. But the sannyasi did not wait for the result of the talks, and he began to build the temple anyway. That particular day I was in Nasari Ganga. So the Muslims went to the plot of land with sticks and swords to fight. The leaders among the Muslims sent a telegram to the government, and the commissioner was informed that the sannyasi was building the temple over a Muslim tomb, and that it was being done with the connivance of Hindu officers. Many letters were exchanged concerning this matter. Being a Hindu officer, it was difficult for me to stay in Sasaram and remain impartial. I made many attempts to get away from Sasaram. My superior officers gave much help to me, and the government secretaries informed me that there would be a transfer elsewhere at a suitable time." Unquote. In the meantime, the Thakur was requested to go to Kayat as a matter of urgency. He writes, quote, "I came to know that in Kayat there was an excellent bull that belonged to a Brahmin. The Brahmin went to Purushottam Puri, but he did not take the bull. Upon returning, he searched for the bull, and when he could not find it, he concluded that the local butchers had killed and eaten it. The Brahmana challenged the Muslim butchers, and they replied, 'What of your bull? In the future we will kill 5 cows in front of everyone on market day. What will the Hindus be able to do when they see this?' Hearing this utterance, the Brahman was enraged and informed all the Hindus. He also wrote to the respectable citizens of the town in order to put an end to the cow killing. On the market day, almost 4,000 Hindus from all over the region and beyond, and carrying missiles and swords, came to the house of the butcher, who fled. They made a slight disturbance but didn't see the man and therefore dispersed. But by the afternoon the Muslim group had grown, and taking up guns and swords, some of them injured some Hindus. The injured persons had to be sent to a hospital. After some delay, the police came, but they were not able to do anything. Finally, they saw the Muslims creating a disturbance. But because the fight was not started by the Muslims, but rather was started by the Hindus were considered to be at fault. After carefully questioning witnesses from both sides, I gave 2-year prison sentences to a few Hindu men. Then, after examining the witnesses against the Muslims, I gave 2-year prison sentences to some of them. They appealed to the High Court against my decision in these 2 trials, but my decision was upheld." Unquote. Finally, Bhaktivinoda wrote to Sir Henry Cotton, and he received a transfer to Nadia. He comments, quote, "The days of my trouble were over. In the month of October, I came to Kolkata from Sasaram. The Thakur's workload was somewhat reduced, and he again contemplated his retirement longingly. The year was 1894. In Krishnanagar, a grand meeting of the Sri Navadvip Dham Pracharani Sabha was held, and many scholarly men attended. After much discussion, it was decided that deities must be established at the Yogapit, birth site of Lord Gauranga. In October of 1894, now at the age of 56, the Thakur decided to retire from government service against the protestations of government authorities and his family. He felt that the greater work of preaching the glories of the holy name was urgent, and that his government service was a hindrance. He retired to Surabi Kunj in Gautamdweep, where he engaged himself fully in preaching, chanting and writing. He revised many of his previous writings, perfecting and refining them. No longer was he distracted by mundane duties. On December the 6th, 1894, an article appeared in the Amrit Bazar Patrika that describes how, just after the Thakur's retirement from government service, he began going from door to door in Calcutta, begging donations for Lord Chaitanya's temple in Mayapur, in a spirit of perfect humility. Quote, "Babu Kedarnath Dutt, the distinguished deputy magistrate, who has just retired from the service, is one of the most active members. Indeed, Babu Kedarnath has been deputed by the committee to raise subscription in Calcutta and elsewhere, and is determined to go from house to house, if necessary, and beg a rupee from each Hindu gentleman for the noble purpose. If Babu Kedarnath Dutt therefore really sticks to his resolution of going round with a bag in hand, we hope no Hindu gentleman whose house may be honoured by the presence of such a devout bhakta as Babu Kedarnath will send him away without contributing his mite, however humble it may be, to the Gaur Vishnu Priya Temple Fund." Unquote. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur thus honoured the houses of many persons, even persons who had formerly been opposed to him for one reason or another. His efforts served as inspiration for many other workers, and before long sufficient funds had been taken up to erect a temple in Mayapur. While the foundation of the temple was being dug, a deity of Adhokshaja Vishnu was found. By referring to the Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures, the Thakur determined that this deity was the very deity worshipped by and owned by Sri Jagannath Mishra, the father of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This discovery confirmed the authenticity of the site from yet another point of view, archaeological. On March 21st, 1895, on Gaura Purnima, the anniversary of Sri Gauranga's birth, an enormous installation ceremony and Sankirtan festival was held. Thousands of visitors attended, and the festival was compared by many participants to the famous Kaitari festival of Narottam Das Thakur, which he had organized 450 years before to unite all the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Should have another one of those now. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur recalls, but it takes someone like Narottam Thakur to do that, of course, very empowered. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur recalls, quote, "There was an enormous Sri Murti installation festival, and uncountable participants attended. There was Mano Harasari Kirtan and Nama Sankirtan, all with great bliss. Envy had previously arisen from the inhabitants of present-day Navadip over the finding of old Navadip. There had been some talk and a storm of abusive words for the worshippers of Gauranga. But for those who have offered their lives to the lotus feet of Gauranga, why would they be intimidated by the talk of wicked people? Not listening to the talk of the worldly minded and envious, the devotees arranged to build a temple and worship the Lord. Bhaktivinoda installed deities of Lord Chaitanya and his consort Srimati Vishnupriya, and everything was conducted with great pomp. The birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was officially commemorated, and its true identity and importance was dramatically revealed to thousands of people. Thousands of Vaishnavas from all parts of India were present and took part in ecstatic chanting, dancing and feasting. Most of the learned Pandits of Navadip, after hearing the exhaustive evidence uncovered by the Thakur, finally admitted that this was indeed the place of Lord Chaitanya's appearance. After this momentous celebration, the Thakur travelled to Tripura, a mountainous state where Virchandra Dev Maharaj, who was devoted to Lord Vishnu, was the king. The Thakur travelled there at the king's invitation in July of 1896, and for 4 days he preached about the glories of the holy name to the people there. On the first day he spoke about the eternal principles of devotion and the spiritual form of the holy name of Krishna. His lecture was filled with deep philosophical analysis and many quotations from the Vedic literature, unknown even to the many pundits and learned gentlemen in attendance. Upon hearing his talk, they became stunned at the erudition and deep realizations of this liberated Paramahamsa. Many were able to grasp for the first time the transcendent nature of pure devotional service and the chanting of the holy names. For the next 2 days, the Thakur enlivened both the royal family and the general public by continuously speaking on Lord Chaitanya's sublime pastimes. Returning from Tripur to his work with the Namhata in Godrumdweep, the Thakur toured all of the villages in the vicinity of Calcutta and Kumarahata, chanting the holy name and distributing the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. From the time of his retirement in 1894 until 1896, there was another incredible outpouring of preaching, writing and publication work. In 1894 he published Vedarka Didhiti, a Sanskrit commentary on Sri Ishopanishad, along with a commentary by Baladev Vidyabhushan and other commentaries as well. He also published Tattva Muktavali, or Mayavada Shatadushani, a book by Madhvacharya refuting the philosophy of Shankaracharya, with the prose Bengali translation. In 1895, he was in full stride with the publication of his Amrit Pravaha Bhasya, his commentary on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, Hari Bhakti Kalpa Latika, a Sanskrit work about pure devotion by an unknown author and edited by the Thakur, Sodasha Granth, 16 small essays on Vaishnavism by Sri Vallabhacharya, Sri Gauranga Stava Kalpataru, a 12-verse poem in Sanskrit from Raghunath Das Goswami's Stavavali, Mana Shantoshani, a Bengali translation of a Sanskrit work by Sri Pradyumna Mishra, Mukunda Malastotram by King Kulashekar, who is one of the 12 Alvars of South India, Sri Lakshmi Charita by Gunaraj Khan, the author of Sri Krishna Vijay, 4 Nam Stotras from the Narad Pancharatra, and Sriman Mahaprabhu Ashtakalya Leela Smaran Mangal Stotram, an 11-verse Sanskrit poem on the eightfold daily pastimes of Lord Chaitanya by an unknown author. We'll stop there. Yeah? And the next chapter, next section is about his preaching reaches the Western world. Well, we can read that another time. Jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai. Is Ramananda's chant the prayers. Huh?
He's gone.
Come back.
Mm-hmm.
Will he come back or not?
I'm not sure.
Do you do chanting? Can you do it?
I can.
You're going. Hare Namo Krishna Yadamaya Yadamaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namo Gopala Govinda Rama Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Govinda Namo Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chanda Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Rupa Sanatana Bhakta Raguna Sri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasa Raguna Jai Go Jai Jai Charavana Jai Devi Nasa Vishta Puran Jai Go Jai Jai Muritanada Tansabha Padharindu Mura Panchagas Tandara Charana Sevi Bhakta Sundrivan Chandame Chandame Dura Hiya Vilas Jai Ko Jai Jai Bhaje Kolaba Shri Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Gaurila Prakash Anande Purno Hari Bhajam Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pate Bhajayama Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Koreyan Harinam Sankirtan Kohi Narottam Udan Nittai Gaura Haribo 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 Srimad Mahaprabhu Giridhari Prabhu ki jai, Jai Srila Gurudev ki jai, all Gurus ki jai, Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai, Jai Bhakti Vignashna Bhagavan Shingadev Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Gaura Premanandi Hari 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 Bol ki jai, Hare Krishna.